Hey guys, what's up? This is Tom Fountainhead back with another guitar webinar. That is today's lick, so let's get to work. So when I just played that lick, you may have already recognized the sound of it. It's a pentatonic lick, and it's combining the minor pentatonic scale with an odd number of notes, which is in this case 7. So it's a 7-note grouping, and I'm using a combination of economy picking and a little bit of legato. So we are in the key of C minor, and we are playing the C minor pentatonic. And we are also playing not only that first position, but also the second position. So you could also call that the E flat major pentatonic first position, because those two are relative scales. So what I'm doing is I'm combining these two box shapes using 3 notes per string. 1, 2, 3. So hopefully you can see that these 2 fingers are playing the first position, and then these 2 fingers are covering the second position. Right, so 1, 2, 3 notes on the low E string. Now, the problem is, if I now want to ascend the scale, and I'm using this 3 note per string kind of way, then I'd have to shift positions every time I go to the next string. Which gets really complicated. You know, if you have 6, or in my case 7 strings, and you have to shift positions every time, that's not really comfortable. And if I do the opposite, if I stay in that 8th position, but I still want to play up the scale and use 3 notes per string, then the other problem is that I have every 3rd note twice. Because that note here occurs on both the E string and A string, and then that happens every 3rd note. Again, that's not ideal. So the solution I've come up with is this. I will be playing 3 notes on the low E string, then 1 note on the A string, and then 3 notes again on the D string. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. And that's where we get the 7-note grouping. So it's 1, 2, 3 plus 1 plus 1, 2, 3 makes 7. So that's cool. That's good enough for me. I have 7 notes ascending without interruptions, without repeated notes in the C minor pentatonic. That's great. And it gives me this odd note grouping, which is always something nice to play around with to create rhythmic tension. So great. Now we solved that problem. But we kind of create another one, at least when it's about the picking, because if we would be playing this with alternate picking, which means just basic binary down, up, down, up, down, up, then since it's a 7-note grouping, our 7th note would be a downstroke, which would mean that when we start playing the second group of 7, if we repeat the 7-note grouping, then that second time I would be starting with an upstroke, and then everything in the right hand would be reversed. And that can work in some examples, but with a 7-note grouping that goes through 2 groups of 3, 1 note here and then another group of 3, that is really, really, really complicated. And that would be automatically a major speed bump. So you couldn't really get that to the desirable speed. At least I'm not able to do that. Maybe some of you would be. I don't know. Kevin Heiderich, where are you? Maybe you can do that with your picking technique. I can't. So I have to find another workaround. And what I came up with is this picking pattern. down, up, down, 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 up. So it's 6 pick notes. Down, up, down, 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 up. And then the 7th note is a hammer-on. Excuse me. So once again, down, up, down, 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 up, hammer. And then, since the last note is a hammer-on, we have extra time to get back to the right hand position to play a downstroke when we start the pattern over again. And also our last pick stroke is an upstroke. And then the next logical pick stroke in the right hand would be the downstroke when we start the pattern again. So if I just repeat that pattern on the E, A, and D string, it kind of looks like this. All right, now that we got the basic pattern going, let's sequence it. Let's start this 7-note grouping anew every time we go to a new string. So once again, we're playing this thing that we just went through. And now, instead of repeating it from the note that we originally started on, we are starting the pattern from the A string on the F. And we're still in the pentatonic box shapes, combining these 2 picking positions. So once again, 7 notes, same picking pattern, down, up, down, 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 up, hammer on. But now just moved it all up 1 string. And then we're doing the same thing on the D string. Down, up, down, 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 up, hammer on. And from the G string. So now what if we want to do the same thing descending? Well, can do that. And so on and so forth. Same idea, 7-note groupings, and then just move that down to the next set of strings. Every time it's a new group of 7. Now, picking-wise, though, we have to reverse the entire picking mechanic. So that means that every time we played a downstroke before, now it's going to be an upstroke. And where we played a hammer-on before, it's going to be a pull-off. But that's actually way easier than it sounds, because it's the same principle. So we are sweeping through the scale. We're starting with alternate picking, and then we sweep through these 3 strings, 1 more pick stroke, and then it's legato. It's just the direction of everything is reversed. So up, down, up, 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 down, and then pull off. And then we do the same thing on every new set of strings. Cool. There's only one small problem, and that is if you want to ascend and descend without any pause. So if you want to just blaze through it without interruption, like I did at the beginning of this video, then the problem is that your last ascending group ends with a upstroke. But then also the first descending group would need to start with an upstroke. So you'd have 2 upstrokes in the same direction, and that at the speed that we want to play this at is definitely a problem. So what we do, and this is actually something that I wasn't even aware that I was doing before shooting this video, because 30 minutes ago I went through the exercise and wrote it out, and then I just noticed that it's not even possible to do this repeating motion in the same direction at that tempo, and that I also wasn't doing it. Instead, what I caught myself doing was, so ascending, just like we talked about, and then I'm actually downstroking. That sounds weird. I'm doing a downstroke on the first note of the descending pattern. I feel like talking about physics or some shit here. Downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, and then upstroke, upstroke. So I'm not playing a 3-note sweep, but I'm playing a 2-note sweep. So down, up, down, auto picking, and then on the next string it's up, up, down, and then the pull off. And the higher the tempo, the more convenient it is to just play one downstroke, pull off here, then play the sweep, and then repeat as we talked about before, right? So, and from this point on, it's all like we talked about until the end. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Once you've learned this lick, once you've learned this approach and this technique, please, I urge you, please do not just learn this lick and then forget about it, or just leave it in that one specific way of applying it. That's not a smart use of anybody's time, not of yours, not of mine, you know. Oh, that rhymed. Huh. So what I'm saying is that every technique or combination of techniques or ideas should be worked out in a way that you can ultimately use them when you're improvising, use them in all sorts of tempos, use them in different keys, in different combinations. Just every kind of variation that you can come up with, so that it becomes part of your identity as a player. You know, there's nothing worse than having spent time bringing one lick up to speed and spending ages on getting the mechanics of it right and playing it up to dizzying speed, and then you can never use it because that specific situation in that key and that tempo doesn't ever come your way. So that's just madness. What you want to do is you want to take this idea, and for example, the first thing I would do is I would take this same principle and then do it in the next combination of positions. So in the lick I just showed you, we had this first and the second position. So now I would be doing the second position and the third position, right? So that would be looking like this. That was a wrong note there, but you get the idea. And then you could also combine the fifth position and the first position. So further down the neck, it becomes a bit of a pain in the ass with the stretches. But that's the idea. You want to work this out on the entire neck of the guitar. And that's just one key. You know, just do it in every kind of key, move it around. And speaking of it, if you want me to write this out for you on the entire neck, so same idea, same technique, writing it out on the entire fretboard of the guitar as some form of etude, and then putting it on YouTube with tabs, playing it as an example. I can definitely do that. Please do let me know if that's something that is of your heart's desire. And yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Also, let me know if you're at it, what other topics, ideas, techniques, maybe licks that I've recorded, you would like to see in a webinar like this, because I fully intend of making this a semi-regular thing, maybe once a month or so, if time allows. So there's going to be plenty more of that, and I need your input as to what I'm going to cover. So, and apart from that, please do like and subscribe and share this video with your friends if you can. That is what helps keeping this channel growing. I mean, I've never spent much time and energy on my YouTube channel. So this year, this is one of my goals, to change that and to bring in more subscribers, get more content, more different content. So you get the idea. Please help me achieve that if you can. And so, yeah, like and subscribe, share on social media, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye.